Relationships, in their ideal form, are built on love, trust, and a deep emotional connection. These elements create a bond that allows couples to navigate life together, supporting and nurturing each other along the way. One of the most essential parts of any relationship is affection, those small, loving gestures that show your partner how much you care, whether it's a warm embrace, a kiss, holding hands, or simply sharing a quiet moment together. Intimacy, both emotional and physical, plays an equally important role in maintaining the closeness and trust between partners. When these aspects start to fade, it can lead to a growing sense of distance, confusion, and uncertainty about where the relationship is headed. If you've found that your partner has stopped showing affection or intimacy, it can feel like the ground beneath you has shifted. The absence of these gestures is not just about missing physical closeness. It can be a sign that something deeper is at play. Intimacy is a reflection of emotional availability, and when it's withdrawn, it can be a signal that your partner is emotionally distant or disconnected. While it might be easy to overlook at first, thinking maybe it's just a rough patch or a temporary phase, the truth is that prolonged lack of affection can be a clear indicator that the relationship is undergoing significant changes, or worse, it might be headed for trouble. One of the hardest parts of this change is the emotional toll it takes on you as the partner who feels neglected. Affection and intimacy are how we communicate love in a tangible way. They provide comfort, security, and reassurance that your partner values and cares for you. So, when this vital aspect starts to disappear, it can leave you questioning whether your partner still loves you, whether they're still invested in the relationship, or whether something has changed that they're not sharing with you. The emotional gap created by a lack of affection can make you feel like you're drifting further apart, even if both of you are physically present. What's particularly challenging is that, often, these shifts don't happen suddenly. At first, the absence of affection might seem subtle: a missed kiss, fewer hugs, or a lack of attention when you're together. Over time, however, these small changes add up. You may begin to feel ignored, unimportant, or even invisible to your partner. You might wonder if they're dealing with personal issues, stress, or something else that's causing this emotional distance. But regardless of the reasons behind it, the impact on the relationship can be profound. The lack of intimacy doesn't just affect the physical aspect of your connection, it affects the emotional and psychological well-being of both partners. Without affection, the relationship can begin to feel less like a partnership and more like two people simply coexisting. If this pattern continues, it can create a sense of loneliness, frustration, and insecurity. In some cases, the absence of affection might even signal a deeper underlying problem, such as waning interest, unresolved conflicts, or the growing distance between two people who once shared everything. In relationships, it's essential to understand that affection and intimacy are not just extras or nice-to-haves. They are fundamental to maintaining a healthy, strong bond. They are vital for building trust, expressing love, and maintaining a connection. When your partner stops showing affection, it's important to address the situation openly and honestly, as this behavior can often indicate a larger issue that needs to be addressed for the relationship to survive and thrive. 1. He stops making an effort to communicate. When a partner stops making an effort to communicate, it's often one of the first signs that something has shifted in the relationship. Communication is the backbone of any strong connection, and when that starts to fade, it can signal that emotional distance is growing. At first, this may seem like a minor issue, but it can quickly escalate into a much deeper problem. If your partner once texted you throughout the day or called to check in, but suddenly stops initiating conversations, it's a red flag. A person who is emotionally invested in a relationship will want to keep in touch, share their thoughts, or simply hear about your day. But when those little acts of communication dwindle, it suggests that they may not care as much as they did before. This lack of effort can also extend to how they respond to you. Instead of thoughtful or engaging replies, you might find their answers are short, indifferent, or even absent altogether. They might stop responding to your texts in a timely manner or give you the feeling that they're not fully present during conversations. When communication becomes one-sided, it can be exhausting and demoralizing. Over time, the lack of communication can cause misunderstandings and unmet needs in the relationship. You may feel ignored, frustrated, or even invisible. It can make you question your worth to them and the health of the relationship overall. If you're the one consistently reaching out, trying to engage, and maintain a connection, but they seem uninterested or unavailable, this behavior indicates a shift in their feelings. It's important to recognize this pattern early on and decide if it's something you're willing to accept. A healthy relationship requires mutual effort, and communication plays a key role in nurturing that bond. If your partner has stopped making that effort, it could be a sign that they're losing interest, and it might be time to reflect on what this means for your future together. 2. He avoids deep or meaningful conversations. When someone avoids deep or meaningful conversations, it often indicates that they are distancing themselves emotionally. Early in a relationship, couples tend to open up to each other about their thoughts, dreams, fears, and experiences. These vulnerable conversations help to strengthen the bond and build intimacy. However, when one partner begins to avoid these types of discussions, it can be a sign of emotional withdrawal. At first, it might seem like your partner is simply busy or stressed, but over time, if they repeatedly deflect serious conversations or refuse to engage in meaningful dialogue, it suggests they may not be as invested in the relationship as they once were. You might notice that whenever the conversation turns to topics like the future, personal goals, or even your relationship itself, they change the subject or become visibly uncomfortable. They may claim they're too tired or don't want to talk about it, leaving you feeling brushed aside or dismissed. This avoidance can also manifest as a reluctance to address issues that are affecting the relationship. Instead of tackling problems head-on, your partner may choose to ignore them or pretend they're not there. This can lead to unresolved issues piling up, creating more tension and misunderstanding. If they're not willing to discuss important matters, it can make you feel disconnected and unsupported. Deep conversations are not just about discussing heavy topics. They also serve as a way for both partners to share their inner worlds and grow closer. When one person starts avoiding this level of emotional connection, it signals that they may no longer feel the same level of attachment or care. It's a warning sign that your partner might not be as emotionally available as they once were, and it could be a key indicator that they're losing interest in the relationship. 3. He's always distracted when you're together. When your partner is constantly distracted when you're together, it can feel like you're not a priority in their life anymore. At the beginning of a relationship, most people are eager to spend quality time with each other, giving their full attention during moments together. But if you notice that your partner is frequently distracted, checking their phone, watching TV, or being lost in their own thoughts, it's a sign that they may not be as engaged with you as they once were. This behavior can manifest in many ways. Perhaps they're always looking at their phone, scrolling through social media, or replying to messages while you're trying to have a conversation. They might be physically present, but mentally, they're somewhere else. This not only makes you feel ignored, but also unimportant, as though their attention is more valuable to them than the time you're spending together. Being distracted can also lead to them missing out on small but meaningful details in your life. If you've been talking about something important, whether it's how your day went or a personal concern, but they don't seem to remember it or respond with little interest, it can be hurtful. It indicates a lack of investment in your emotional well-being or connection. This growing disconnect is often a sign that they're not as emotionally engaged with you as they once were. Over time, these distractions can erode the emotional intimacy of the relationship. When your partner isn't fully present, it can create a sense of isolation, even when you're together. You might feel as though you're speaking to a wall, and that your presence doesn't matter to them as much as their distractions do. This repeated behavior shows that their focus is no longer on strengthening the bond between you two, which could be a sign that they're losing interest in the relationship altogether. 4. He no longer initiates plans or dates. When your partner no longer initiates plans or dates, it can be a clear sign that their interest in the relationship is waning. In the early stages of a relationship, both partners typically make an effort to plan activities and spend quality time together. These spontaneous dates or well-thought-out plans are part of the excitement and effort that show someone cares. But when one partner stops making an effort to initiate these moments, it suggests that their level of engagement has dropped significantly. This lack of initiative can be especially noticeable if you're the one who always takes charge of organizing plans or suggesting activities. You may find yourself feeling like you're the only one who is still trying to keep the spark alive, whether it's making dinner plans, setting up a weekend getaway, or simply suggesting a movie night. When your partner no longer takes the lead, it can be disheartening. It gives the impression that they no longer value the relationship in the same way. There could be multiple reasons behind this behavior, such as burnout, emotional detachment, or a loss of excitement. But no matter the cause, the end result is often the same. You may begin to feel taken for granted or unimportant. Relationships require effort from both sides to stay fresh and exciting. When one person stops initiating plans, it can create a one-sided dynamic where the relationship starts to feel more like a routine or a burden rather than something to enjoy. The absence of effort to plan dates or activities can also signify that your partner isn't invested in the future of the relationship. They may no longer see the point in creating new memories together, which can leave you questioning where you stand. If you find yourself constantly having to ask or suggest plans, it's important to reflect on what this behavior could mean about your partner's level of interest and commitment. 5. He frequently cancels plans at the last minute. When your partner frequently cancels plans at the last minute, it can be a sign of emotional distance or disinterest in the relationship. Early on, when two people are invested in each other, plans are a priority. But when one partner repeatedly backs out of arrangements or waits until the very last moment to cancel, it can feel like you're not important enough for them to honor those commitments. It may start with a few understandable reasons: work emergencies, family obligations, or feeling under the weather. However, if this becomes a regular pattern, it's more than just bad timing. It's a signal that something deeper may be going on. Constant cancellations, especially when they happen without much explanation or consideration for your time, can leave you feeling disrespected and undervalued. What's even more concerning is the lack of effort to reschedule or make up for the cancelled plans. If your partner doesn't show much interest in rearranging or doesn't seem apologetic, it shows that they may not be fully committed to nurturing the relationship. In a healthy partnership, both people care about each other's feelings and time, so they make an effort to follow through on plans or find ways to make it up when something unavoidable arises. Repeated cancellations can also create a sense of instability in the relationship. It can start to feel like you're always waiting around, unsure of whether or not your time together will actually happen. Over time, this can lead to frustration, disappointment, and a growing emotional distance between you. If your partner doesn't value the time you spend together enough to make plans and keep them, it may be a sign that their level of interest has faded. This type of behavior often reflects a lack of emotional investment and could signal that they're losing interest in the relationship altogether. 6. He seems distant or emotionally unavailable. When your partner seems distant or emotionally unavailable, it can be one of the most painful signs that they are pulling away from the relationship. Emotional availability is a key element in a healthy partnership. When someone is emotionally present, they engage with you on a deeper level, share their feelings, and show genuine concern for your emotional well-being. But if your partner becomes distant or avoids emotional connection, it creates a wall between you, leaving you feeling isolated and disconnected. At first, you might notice subtle changes. They may stop opening up about their day or their feelings, and you might find it harder to connect with them. Instead of sharing personal thoughts or discussing important matters, they may brush you off, give one-word answers, or seem uninterested in what's going on in your life. This shift can be incredibly confusing and hurtful because it feels like the emotional intimacy that once existed is disappearing. Being emotionally unavailable can also manifest as a lack of empathy or understanding. When you express your feelings or concerns, they might respond in a cold, dismissive manner or avoid the conversation altogether. Rather than offering support or comfort, they may become defensive or avoid the topic completely. This behavior creates an emotional distance that can make you feel unimportant or like you're the only one trying to keep the relationship alive. This emotional unavailability may stem from a variety of causes, such as stress, personal issues, or unresolved conflicts. However, if it becomes a recurring issue, it suggests that your partner may no longer be emotionally invested in the relationship. They may be withdrawing because they're not ready to confront their feelings, or they could be losing interest altogether. When emotional availability fades, the connection between two people weakens, and the relationship begins to feel unbalanced. If your partner's emotional distance continues, it may be time to reassess the future of the relationship and whether they are still truly engaged. 7. He doesn't compliment you like he used to. When your partner stops complimenting you the way they used to, it can be a subtle yet powerful sign that their feelings may have changed. Compliments, whether they're about your appearance, your personality, or your accomplishments, are often expressions of affection and admiration. At the beginning of a relationship, compliments flow naturally, as both partners are excited to show their appreciation for each other. However, when these gestures start to fade, it could indicate a shift in their level of interest or emotional connection. It's not just about vanity or seeking praise. It's about how a partner's compliments can make you feel seen, appreciated, and valued. If your partner used to comment on how great you looked, how smart or capable you are, or how much they admire your qualities, and now those compliments are no longer coming, it may leave you wondering why. Compliments are one of the ways partners show that they're still noticing each other and still care about how the other feels. When these affirmations start to dwindle, it can make you feel invisible or unimportant. You might even begin to second-guess yourself, wondering if something has changed or if you're not worthy of the same attention and affection anymore. It can also be a sign that your partner is no longer invested in maintaining the emotional connection that compliments often help foster. Over time, this lack of recognition can leave the relationship feeling stagnant and uninspiring. Compliments may seem like small gestures, but they play a big role in nurturing love and intimacy. When they stop, it often reflects a deeper issue. Your partner may not be paying as much attention to you, or they may be emotionally disengaged, which can cause the bond to weaken. If you've noticed that the compliments have stopped coming, it might be a signal that your partner is no longer emotionally connected in the same way they once were. 8. He doesn't remember the little things about you. When your partner stops remembering the little things about you, it can feel like a significant sign that they may be losing interest or becoming emotionally detached. The small details, your favorite food, the way you like your coffee, your birthday, or even a specific memory from a special day, are often what make a relationship feel personal and intimate. These details reflect that your partner truly pays attention to you and cares about what makes you unique. If they begin forgetting these little things, it can be heartbreaking. At first, you might brush it off as an occasional lapse in memory, but if it becomes a regular pattern, it can start to feel like they no longer see you the way they once did. When someone genuinely cares about you, they remember these small details, not because they're trying to impress you, but because they're genuinely invested in who you are as a person. The inability to recall things that matter to you can also signal a lack of emotional connection. The deeper the emotional bond, the more likely your partner is to notice and retain the little things that make you, well, you. But when this attention fades, it's often a sign that their emotional focus is no longer on the relationship or the person they're with. Instead of showing the same level of interest and care, they might seem distracted, distant, or preoccupied with other things. This behavior can cause you to feel unnoticed or unimportant. It may even lead to feelings of frustration or self-doubt, especially if you're constantly reminding them of things that once felt significant. Relationships thrive on the attention and care that partners show one another, especially in the smallest gestures. When those little things start to slip through the cracks, it could mean that the emotional connection is fading. If your partner stops remembering the things that make you feel seen, it's worth considering whether they're still emotionally invested in the relationship. 9. He avoids talking about the future with you. When your partner avoids talking about the future with you, it can be a significant indication that they may not see you in their long-term plans. Conversations about the future are essential in any relationship because they show mutual investment and a shared vision for what's to come. Whether it's discussing future vacations, career goals, or even simple things like where you might want to live, these conversations highlight the idea of building something together. If your partner seems hesitant or avoids these discussions altogether, it can leave you feeling uncertain about the direction of your relationship. When someone truly values you and wants to build a future together, they will engage in these conversations with excitement and willingness. They will want to know your dreams and desires because they see themselves in those plans. However, when your partner consistently shuts down future-focused conversations or changes the subject, it may signal that they are no longer as committed to the relationship as they once were. This behavior might suggest that they aren't emotionally invested in a future together, which can lead to feelings of insecurity and confusion. If they don't see the relationship as something long-lasting, they might avoid talking about it to prevent confronting uncomfortable truths or expectations. This avoidance can also make you feel like you're left in limbo, unsure of where the relationship is headed. You might feel like you're the only one thinking about the future, while your partner is emotionally detached or not as invested. Over time, this lack of conversation about future plans can create a growing sense of distance and a lack of direction in the relationship, leading to uncertainty and frustration. If your partner consistently avoids talking about the future, it could be a sign that they don't see a long-term commitment with you. 10. He's no longer interested in your daily life. When your partner loses interest in your daily life, it can be a painful sign that the emotional connection between you is fading. At the start of a relationship, there's often a natural curiosity and excitement about each other's day-to-day experiences. Whether it's the small wins at work, funny anecdotes, or personal struggles. Sharing these moments strengthens the bond and keeps the relationship vibrant. However, when your partner stops asking about your day or shows no interest in the details of your life, it can feel like a disconnect is forming. This lack of interest can manifest in various ways. Perhaps they no longer inquire about how your day went, don't ask about your plans, or show little enthusiasm when you share something important or exciting with them. When you're the only one making the effort to share, it can leave you feeling like your experiences and emotions aren't valued. In a healthy relationship, partners naturally want to know what's going on in each other's lives because it shows they care and are emotionally invested. If your partner isn't making the effort to learn about your day-to-day experiences, it might indicate that they no longer feel the need to connect on that level. This emotional detachment can be a sign that they're no longer as committed to nurturing the relationship, leaving you feeling unseen and unheard. Over time, this lack of interest can create a significant gap between you. You may begin to feel like you're living parallel lives, where you're still sharing your world, but they're no longer a part of it. Relationships thrive on open communication and shared experiences, and when that dwindles, it can leave one partner feeling lonely and disconnected. If your partner no longer seems interested in your daily life, it's important to address it, as it may signal a deeper issue in the relationship. 11. He starts comparing you to others, even jokingly. When your partner starts comparing you to others, even in a joking manner, it can be a hurtful sign that they may no longer appreciate you for who you are. While some couples might make light-hearted comparisons as part of fun banter, When these comparisons become frequent or pointed, they can undermine your confidence and self-esteem. These comments, whether about your appearance, abilities, or personality, suggest that your partner is measuring you against someone else, which can make you feel inadequate or like you're not good enough. The subtle nature of joking comparisons can make it difficult to address right away, as it might seem harmless on the surface. However, if your partner continues to bring up how someone else does something better, or how another person seems more attractive or successful, it can be emotionally damaging over time. Even though they might claim to be joking, the repeated nature of these comments can cause you to feel like you're not measuring up to their expectations, leaving you questioning your worth in the relationship. What makes this behavior especially hurtful is that relationships are supposed to be about acceptance and unconditional love. A partner should be there to support you, not to create feelings of insecurity or doubt. If your partner feels the need to compare you to others, it could indicate that they are no longer fully invested in you or the relationship. This behavior can also stem from dissatisfaction, jealousy, or a lack of appreciation for what you bring to the table. When these comparisons happen, even if disguised as jokes, they can create distance between you and your partner. They might be unintentionally revealing that they no longer value you for who you are, but instead are focused on what others have or do. It's important to address this issue directly because if it's left unchecked, it could lead to further emotional strain and resentment. A relationship built on comparisons can lead to feelings of rejection, which over time can cause the bond to weaken or break. 12. He stops showing affection or intimacy. When your partner stops showing affection or intimacy, it can be one of the most significant signs that something has changed in the relationship. Physical touch, affection, and intimacy are essential components of a romantic connection, as they serve to reinforce the emotional bond between partners. Whether it's holding hands, cuddling on the couch, sharing a kiss, or even small gestures like a gentle touch, these acts of affection are how we communicate love and care on a physical level. If your partner has suddenly stopped showing affection or intimacy, it can leave you feeling confused, rejected, and lonely. At first, you might wonder if it's just a phase or if they're simply stressed with other aspects of life. However, if this shift becomes prolonged and consistent, it could indicate a deeper issue in the relationship. Intimacy is a vital way for partners to connect emotionally, and when it fades, it often signals that there is emotional distance growing between you. The lack of physical affection or intimate moments can be painful, especially if it's something that was once a natural part of the relationship. When these moments stop, it can make you question whether your partner still has feelings for you, or whether their interest in the relationship has waned. Affection is often a reflection of emotional closeness, and when that closeness starts to diminish, so does the affection. This change can cause you to feel invisible or unimportant. You may begin to wonder if your partner is looking for affection elsewhere, or if they've simply stopped seeing you as someone they want to be close to. Over time, this emotional and physical disconnect can erode the foundation of the relationship, leading to frustration and sadness. If your partner has stopped showing affection or intimacy, it's crucial to address it directly and figure out whether the relationship can be rekindled or if it's time to consider other paths.